Praise the Lord. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Just slide yourself in and get comfortable. The cipher is now complete. Tonight, we want to welcome you into a revolution of the mind and a movement of the soul. I am half of the comedic duo, Professor J, and I'm joined by the enlightened one, Sense.
What's good, people? What's good? Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are in a safe space, as we like to call it. So sit back, relax, and let's get talking.
That's right. And we dare you not to have an opinion that will stir the embers of this movement. We want you to share and chime in. The pod will address the major topics that affect us as a community. And the goal is to move you from lip service to action. So tonight, we want to start off with a couple of topics that are near and dear to us, and they also affect us in many different ways. And the first thing that I want to kick off tonight, Sense, is this notion of the independent Black diaspora. Yeah, that might be new to some people. Basically, what I'm talking about is Black economics. And we know today, when you look around the so-called Black community, we see a lot of different businesses that are certainly owned by different nationalities and different races. But the point always comes up as to how we support or thereof lack of support for Black business. And we want to kick it off tonight just talking about this sense of community, because it's important not only that we support those businesses, but we're actually building businesses that are worthy of support. So Sense, let's just get right into it. When we talk about the Black community, what do you think are the issues as it pertains to how we maintain, keep, and support our own stores?
Man, that is such a loaded question, and a lot of peeling of the layer, if you will. But let's dive in. What stands out to me first with that is sometimes the jealousy. When you see, when you see someone taking a leap of faith, having the courage to, realize their dream or build on their dream, something that you might have wished you did. Or you might have been mad that they beat you to it. So a little resentment, and you're like, I don't. It's like Jay-Z said this. It's like sometimes people think their success is your failure. So they're hesitant for some strange reason to support. Now, in recent years, that's kind of turned around, thankfully, due to now us realizing that we do need to support our own, because if we don't support our own, we're going to continue to be treated like, the stepchild when it comes to the, global scheme of things and how we're represented and how we're respected. So I think supporting, like in our community, we that was a stigma for us, but we're slowly starting to come around. I also think that when we have businesses of our own, it's also can I be transparent? Can I be real?
Oh yeah, because that's what we're about. We're gonna get them.
Sometimes, at least I can only speak for myself. With my experiences with Black-owned businesses or in the community, sometimes what we expect to get as far as customer service, as far as just ultimate customer satisfaction, we don't always get.
True. I want to speak to one of the points where you brought up jealousy. That deep-rooted jealousy is something that goes back many generations, and some people will argue that it goes back to our time of slavery, where you had the division of labor, where you had the quote-unquote house Negroes and you had the field Negroes, and how that dynamic has gone and really transpired to where we are today. When we look at issues of complexion and skin color, when we look at the types of jobs and the output that we give as African Americans, like case in point, you know, when people look at educated cats such as us, they mistake us and think we never had any hardships, like we don't know what the school of hard knocks is. So that jealousy comes in because we're perpetuating certain stereotypes amongst ourselves that we really don't understand where they come from. And what I tell young people is always know thyself, hone in on who you are as an individual. The problem is that we're letting all these other things in society dictate and tell us who we are. So that hate, I mean, that serious hate, that jealousy, it comes from a place that many people don't even understand. And yes, I'm talking to you all. Many people don't understand where that rooted jealousy comes from. You just know that you got that feeling and you can't stand that person because they're trying to do something that's going to do better, not just for their family, but for their community. Case in point, take every rapper, dead or alive, that went back to the hood to keep it real where they grew up, only to find out that people come to rob, steal, and then sometimes kill them for the things that they've done and that they've accomplished. All right. I thought I lost you there.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
Got on the wrong button. Sorry, folks.
Oh, it's all good.
It's our first show.
Right. So with that said, that jealousy, I'm challenging people, if you feel that way, really tap into it to understand why you have that feeling. And then the things that you can control about that feeling, start addressing that. Because for me to look at another African-American, Black American, whatever you want to identify as, and you're doing well, I'm the first person to come pat you on your back, whether I know you or not. And patronizing your business goes to your next point. I demand great customer service. It doesn't matter what you look like. If I patronize any type of business, I don't care if it's a Korean, I don't care if it's white, I don't care if it's Asian, Arab, whatever the nationality, because I'm not racist, I'm not a bigot. But when I go into a store, when I'm trying to find something that I actually want to spend my hard-earned money to have, I want the apex of great customer service. And when I don't get it, you're going to hear my mouth. Yeah. What I don't like is when we express that to Black businesses and we tell them that we're not satisfied with what we're getting, it turns into a shouting match. It turns into disrespect. It turns into this whole other thing that doesn't really need to be there. Right. What do you think?
And because you set the tone of your experience. I'm talking about the people who own Black businesses. Like, don't have me feel like, even though, yes, you are providing a service that I need, make it seem like, you know, you're happy, like any other person would be. You're happy to get my business. You want me to keep coming back because that's the overall objective, is it not? Mm-hmm. You want to keep them coming back. So what I don't want, as soon as I walk into the store, is you to greet me with like an attitude, this type of, you know, look, you know, can I help you? No, sir. I mean, I'm not talking about do no tap dance and service with a smile, right, you know, type thing, but make me feel good for coming in there and make me want to spend my money. Like, to your point, like, you giving me bad vibes is not going to make me want to spend my money. Right. I'll be like, okay, well, you know, and you hear this all the time with us, you know, especially, that's why I don't support Black business, because we don't, you know, we don't get the, you know, the customer service, or we don't get the same experience, or whatever the case may be. And we need to like break that. That's one of many ways we will be able to finally break through that wall and, you know, have that economic power that we so are desiring.
Right. So let me go New Jack real quick. Let's kick the ballistic, so to speak. I'm a Black business owner. You're a Black business owner. We know exactly what's coming out of our mouths when we're giving this type of opinion, because when I'm serving, I serve the youth. When I'm serving the youth, I'm also serving their parents, because their parents are pulling out of their pocket to make sure that their kids can be in our programs and matriculate and learn something. I'm giving the apex of service. I'm giving the mountaintop of service, because what the message that I'm sending is, not only do I care about your child, but I care about you as the person or familial unit that is here paying for your child to be in this program. So what I'm doing is my influence on your child is actually an influence on you, because the knowledge and the habits and the leadership skills that I'm imparting to your child, I actually want you to see that growth in them. One of the main things I always ask for feedback on is, have you seen a difference in your child? I ask the student that, I ask the parents that. And it always 100% of the time it comes back yes. And I take pride in that, and I'm not beating my chest. But what I'm saying is, it's because what's inside of me is that I want to have the best at whatever I do. I want to have the best at what I offer. And I want people to tell other people. I want them to come back. But here's the thing. I want that money to stay in this community.
Absolutely.
That's what I want.
Absolutely.
That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. And going back to your point of jealousy, that's another stigma we got to break, because, I mean, if one wins, we all win. And we have to realize that.
Right.
You know, okay, that person might have got to their goal faster than you. So what? It doesn't mean you're not still going to get to your goal. If anything, use that person getting to their goal faster as motivation and inspiration for you to continue on your path.
Right, right.
And, you know, and also for Black business owners, once you reach your goal, don't look down on the others.
Right.
Like, give that hand up.
That's right.
You know, yeah, be happy, you know, do your diddy bop, you know, swag out, but don't, you know, stunt to the point of, you know, you crapping on the next person.
Right, right.
Because, you know, that you know, continues to, that promotes the jealousy. That continues to promote the jealousy. And it's like, no, I'm not going to support that person because they think they all of that, or they, you know, they think they better than me. You know, it's the cycle that'll continue.
And you know what that leads into? Leads on black crime. And what irritates me the most is when you got these enlightened individuals, and I'll put it in air quotes, that come out talking about there's no such thing as black on black crime. I'm like, word? Where you get your evidence from? And I'm always one to learn. So if I'm wrong, I tell you that I'm wrong. But when I look at what's happening with the jealousy that leads to certain attitudes and actions that are burying us, I'm not just talking about going out and robbing, beating up, and killing and murdering your brother and sister. I'm talking about the actions that you take to belittle somebody else, to stab them in the back, to prevent them from moving ahead, to putting all types of barriers in front of somebody because you hate them or you don't like what they stand for. You know what you're doing when you're giving so much of that energy to hating somebody else? You're stagnating your own growth because you're not using that same energy to get you where you need to go. You're looking at two people who grind right here. So it's no reason for me to dislike or hate somebody else. If I don't come back to your business, it's because I didn't like the service. It's because I didn't like the product. And you know what I do, Sense? I always do the surveys. I always contact the owners. I always give positive feedback on the reason why I'm not coming back to your particular establishment. And I'm gonna tell you, Janine to tell you, we all about when we need services done around the yard, around the house, we always looking to support a black business first. But I'm gonna tell you, we had some experiences where, and I'm being transparent. Last summer, I almost had to come to blows with a gentleman that came here, you know, to do the hedges and all that kind of stuff. And because we didn't like how it was done, he tried to swell up on me. and it got to a point where I had to remember that I was a man of God. But I stepped to him and I told him, I was like, look, you in my yard, you at my house, we paying you for a service that we are requiring you to deliver how we exactly want it done. But I told him, I was like, I'm gonna step it back because I don't want it to get ugly. Not that I can't carry my own, but that's not who I represent. I represent.
It shouldn't have to come to that. It shouldn't have to come to that.
I always take precautions because I'm an intelligent black man, and I don't believe that we got to use this anymore in order to get our point across. But you know what ended up happening? Because I used the spirit of the Lord, we end up hashing things out, and we became cool after that. Now, does it mean that I'm going to utilize him again in the future? No, but we came to some common ground as two black men that we understood that we both were problematic or at fault for escalating a situation that we could have handled differently. But I was more conscious of the fact that he had his two sons there as well. And I wanted to make sure I showed them that black men actually can talk things out and cool things down and have level heads. But that goes back to the point about he doesn't understand where I was coming from. I don't understand where he was coming from. We two cats that had expectations. He thought doing it a certain way was going to pan out and we would like it, whereas it didn't. But then we started out the conversation, incorrectly, where it could have really gotten out of hand. But the point is, we got to stop this notion that when we look for each other, that we probably need to communicate what the expectations are up front and not in the reverse.
And that's what I was going to touch on, miscommunication. Mm-hmm. That is the cause of 99% of the blow-ups, the, disagreements that we have that, come to blows or, even more extreme cases. And if you just take the time, like, to not get in your, ego or your feelings or your anger and, like, really say, hey, brother, sister, what is it about me that's bothering you? Or what's going on to where we're having this, rift? Because where I'm coming from, I'm not trying to, be disrespectful. I'm just feeling like, okay, whatever the case, I was expecting a particular service with my hedges that you didn't provide. Now, had we had this conversation in the beginning and I would have told you, okay, I expect boom, 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 that way you can do boom, 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 and there'd be no, miscommunication or, me now not patronizing your business anymore. You could have had a customer for life. But because you did not do that, here is why. And I want to explain that to you.
Right.
And I'm glad that you guys were able to, come to that understanding. But it's a shame that it has to come to that. Now, another point you made that I think is a good idea, and I think we all need to do. Crystal does this as well. The customers surveys, and also speaking to the manager, because how else would they know if you don't tell them?
Right. That's it. Because you want to see improvement, because we want to patronize those businesses on a continuous basis. And I just want to make a couple of other points. It's important that we come together as a community, because when we look around other nationalities and other races, they're doing things to glue themselves to each other, to grow their communities, and also to grow their culture. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why just in February we should see people acting like they're conscious Black people or doing Black history projects and finding out little known facts and stuff like that. That should actually be a way of life. And then we want to get into building generational wealth. The reason why we talk about Black businesses is because we need to start populating our own areas with more of these businesses. I don't have anything against the other people that own stores in our neighborhoods, but they're taking the money that we spend and they're taking that back to their own communities. So
we're not getting treated like our dollar's worth anything.
Exactly.
Like nationalities.
Exactly. And do the research, because we're not just talking out of the side of our necks. Every other nationality, their money returns to their community double fold, like 10 or more, meaning that it's coming back and it's growing. They're creating a cycle while we're spending billions of dollars that go out of our communities, out. So think about where you go to the grocery store. Think about where you buy your clothes. Think about, when you got services around your house, who you're calling to actually do those. And we haggle about price, but be real. You're going to haggle with anybody about a price. Can't you come down a little bit about it? That's the art of negotiation. But stop this mess about, can you give me a hookup just because we have the same skin tone? Knock that crap off. Because my prices are competitive to the people that I did my market research on, and giving you a hookup means that I'm lowering my standard and my bottom line. So if I tell you no, understand it ain't got nothing to do with ripping you off. It means that there's fair market value out there that we got to honor, because I want to make sure I have a certain standard of living just like you.
And let's keep it real. You're not going to ask that other nationality that you patronize. Right. They'll look at you until you get out their store. Now, they're charging what they feel is a fair price or what they're worth. Same with me and my business. I'm charging you my time, my effort that I put into it, and the setup, the breakdown, like me, like going, to great lengths to make sure you get a, good image.
Right. Excellence. If I'm going to deliver excellence to you, I expect you to pay the fair market value. Now, do I give a percentage off based on the circumstance and based who I'm dealing with?
Absolutely. But don't expect that. Let,
Right.
let me do that.
Right.
Don't come and expect, off the break expecting that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to transition to our next topic. And trust me, this won't be the first or last time you hear about the independent Black diaspora, because we want to keep the money flowing, and we definitely want to open up conversations for people to kind of joust with us, because everything that we say, we're not looking to be 100% right, but we want to get the conversation started.
And also on that note, before we segue to the next topic, whoever like has a Black business and you want us to, shout it out, please like leave it in the comments so we can, promote you, show you love, tell folks where to find you for your goods and services, so on and so on.
That's right. And we'll do live reads on the show and everything that you need, because we all are about promoting Black businesses. All right. So stay tuned on that. So Sense, go ahead and lead us into the next topic.
All right. It's kind of a fluid topic because also, with jealousy, that's a part of mental health. And it's another stigma in the Black community, people not wanting to go to therapists because they feel it's weak, people not talking about their feelings because it feels they make them soft. And we want to talk about why is that, still the case. I know therapy now is being promoted thanks to people like Charlemagne the God and Taraji P. Henson and others, but still, folks are keeping it in. And we had an instance where we had a brotherly conversation with some of our with a brother of ours who was going through that. Yeah, and it opened our, well, it didn't, we already knew, but it reminded us that we need to talk about this, because if we don't, you've seen what it does. You've seen suicides occur. You when it happens, you're like, oh dang it, I didn't know. Well, you didn't know because you didn't ask.
Right. Right.
But let's talk about it. Let's put it to the floor.
Yeah, man, you hit the nail on the head. There's a stigma that's been placed on us. And again, this goes back many generations before you and I were born. We were taught to not identify with who we are, with the diaspora, with our heritage. We were actually taught in many ways to hate ourselves. This is why a lot of us will internalize bigotry, hatred, and racism, because that's what we're being fed constantly. We just went through 4 years of a person, pretty much in our face telling us that they're better than us. These people are nice, fine people on both sides and things of that nature. And when you don't know who you are, you start to really have a destructive attitude about things that you actually do with your life. And it can both hinder you outwardly and inwardly. And, you mentioned it, suicide. That is a serious mental health issue, and suicides are on the rise for the demographic of ages 8 through 18. And why is that happening? The pandemic certainly didn't help, but these youth were going through many other things prior to the pandemic, and it just exacerbates it and puts them in even more of a foul sense of being, because they really don't know themselves. And that's where folks like us come in to say, hey, you are beautiful. You are intelligent. You are magnificent. You come from a powerful people. You come from folks that invented things, that established civilizations, that have really pretty much taught the world. That's what the African diaspora is. And we just need people to understand that your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being should be at the top of the list. But what do? Since we always worrying about the external, what we wearing, what we eating, what our bodies look like. We spend so much time on the physical that we ignore the things that are going on internally, and we're screaming. When you pay attention, especially with youth, when you pay attention to their actions, I can always tell a youth that's crying out for help. And adults exhibit some of the same stuff, but we just got to pay attention. But like you said, we gotta ask.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna go even deeper. It's ingrained at a young age, and
Mm.
it's a cycle. Like I said, it's a cycle. Like that parent was raised to feel like, oh, having this label or that label makes you, superior than the other, or driving this car, and whoever don't, you look down on them, you clown them, which contributes to the detriment of of mental health, because it then it affects your self-esteem. So where it's like, dang, if I don't have this, or if I, so it'll have you going to great lengths to get what they have, which then adds, it's all like connected. Like
Mm.
if you see it, like the generational wealth. That's why we don't have generational wealth, because we're going out to get what the other has, keeping up with the Joneses, if you will. And
Right, right. And you see what Big Reg just said, aka George. He says a lot of black families, especially black men, were taught to keep our feelings inside, and any sign of feeling is a sign of weakness.
yes, absolutely.
Hit it on the head. I
Yeah.
mean, when I think back, to how my own dad raised, us, it was always, barely heard him say, I love you. Cause to me, I thought that he thought it was soft to say it to us. You gotta be tough. Don't cry, get up off the ground, I
Yeah.
mean, you just grow up with that over heightened sense of masculinity that you just feel like you got to hold everything in. And like I told you guys last night, I felt like I'm the one that had to always have it together for my siblings, for my
Mhm.
family, people older, younger than me. Every friend I ever had, always felt like I had to be the one to have it together. And if I ever said that there was a chink in my armor, I was afraid of how people would look at me. And I carried that, man. I carried that all the way through high school. I carried it partly through college, because it almost destroyed me. I tell the young people when I'm speaking to them, don't be embarrassed, because you looking at a person that I'm blessed to even be here. At 18 years old, I almost ended it all, because I had so much on me that I couldn't give up, that I couldn't tell anybody, that I couldn't release, that I almost committed suicide, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
By God's graces, I'm on the campus of Morehouse College, out in the back of our dorm, about to do the do late at night. And my cousin, my buddies, they came out looking for me because they didn't know where I was. Because I was a biology major, and we all got these surgical kits because we had to do dissections and stuff. Dude, that scalpel was right there. I was done, and I knew it. And it's not like I didn't grow up as a believer. I understand what suicide means, but because I was so broken at the time
You
that I
don't care.
didn't want to feel that pain anymore.
Exactly, exactly, bruh. Like, and for those, like, like, but I had that same struggle myself, especially in high school. Being bullied, and having folks just belittle you, and things like that. That does something to your soul, especially at a young age. And like you said, the rate of youth suicides is alarming, because they feel that same way. They feel like, oh, I can't go to my mom or my dad, because they feel like, oh, it's they'll wave it off. Oh, hit them back, or do this or do that. you know
Dude, I was hot about that too. Because
mm,
if you remember, for y'all that don't know, this is my blood cousin. When that was going on, it wasn't you that told me. I heard from somebody else what was going on in school, and I was about to leave Atlanta to come up here and wreck shop on
oh,
the
I know.
fact that. But I also knew that it was important for you to handle those things on yourself, and we talked. But I stayed my butt in Atlanta, and y'all know, and I mentioned this in the beginning. I'm a protector. I love my family to the point where if anything is happening to them, I'll be the first one to run through the fire so they don't have to. But that's just the way that I am. So yeah, so you just speaking the truth, because I do remember that time. It was a very dark time for you, but I thank God that we were able to talk it through. And I know that you dealt with things in another positive manner, things like that. I don't want to tell your story, But yeah, I remember that. I do.
Yeah. So, it had to take, thankfully I had a circle, my cousins, family who did, put them wrap themselves around me, and and just and made me feel loved. But some folks didn't have that luxury. And it carries on to adulthood, because that becomes the demon that you try to shake but you can't. And it can affect your relationship. It can affect it can affect your relationship with your your partner, your friends.
Hmm.
It can affect you at the workplace, because you'll start to feel like, you know it's this person coming at me. You'll start to second guess yourself, and it's not a a fun thing to do, let me tell you. So
Right.
therapy, if you don't want to seek a therapist, talk to your closest friend, your partner, your spouse.
Yeah. And some of y'all in church, get a prayer partner, get somebody at church that you vibe with, that you close to, that you can confide in. If it's not your pastor or the other ministers, and just kind of talk things through. It don't have to be anything as big as as y'all, coming together and meet, man. Get on the phone, jump on your Peloton bike and do a class together. It doesn't have to be these intricate things, and it doesn't have to cost you money. And let me tell you, a lot of us have gone through so many storms, man. When we get to talking about testimonies and start sharing, look, you don't have to pay anything to get that out, because that's basically what therapists do. They understand the mind. They go to school for the mind, so they try to walk you through places. And see, as a minister, I've been through school and had to study psychology and spiritual and mental wellness, because we have to help people that go through many of the same things. So just so that's an olive branch we extend to you as well. We can help get you to some resources, or we ourselves can be a resource for you to talk to. And I'm bound by confidentiality as a licensed and ordained minister. So anything you tell me is between, myself, you, and God. So it's going to stay that way, because I take that very seriously.
And,
So yeah.
and the best therapy is someone who's been there, who's been where you've been, who can relate, who's gone through that storm and came out on the other side. I can tell you, like, it gets better. Just continue doing what you're doing. Talk. Like, let me know how you feel. I can say, okay, I can help you now, or someone else or a friend can help you navigate. And
Amen.
and therapists are awesome. So if you have the means to go to a therapist, like, I highly recommend you do so. But for those who don't have that, there's many ways to overcome this stigma of mental health.
Right. And I don't care what type of counseling it is. If you're married, marriage counseling is good. If you're in different ministries, seek out a ministry head to talk through those things. If you're going through depression, seek through those things. Because look, sometimes it's no shame. Sometimes it takes medication too to get you balanced, where you can function every day and get through your trial that you're going through. Because trust me, things don't last always. Only if you keep it in your mind and in your heart, and it just produces those negative things within you. But Sense and I are going to tell you a great way that we get through stressful times. We laugh. We talk about present things, and we certainly talk about the past, some of the crazy, dumb things we did, or as adolescents and young men, and certainly, things that we go through today. So when we start chopping it up and thinking about, the old days, especially, Sense, I mean, let's give the people a little taste of what we do, because our wives look at us like we crazy, because we're just wilding out, and just good time, just talking about stuff we've been through.
Yeah.
So what you think we should share with the people tonight?
Um, you know, what? The story of us taking a friend home after a football game came to mind.
Oh man, here we go.
Oh man, you want to take it?
So this is one that usually gets put on my shoulders, because I was the one that was driving at the time, and I'm the one that okayed us to take this good friend home. So the story goes like this. He was like, it's at the game. We all tired. We got some grub. And then he like, yo, I don't want to get on the metro. Can you just, take me home? So I'm like, bet, but where do you live? And he was like, around the corner. Now, granted now, we coming from Northeast. Then we went to Three Brothers out there near Riggs Road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we jump on the Beltway and he talking about around the corner. So we driving around the Beltway. We just going. I'm like, all right, I'm thinking 10 minutes, this Bama be home and me, Johnny and O will be back on our way back home. And we just driving, talking, listening to Backyard and all that. And then I'm just going. I'm like, okay, well, what exit we going to? Well, we almost there. Keep going. You ain't got that far to go. So by that time, we still going around the Beltway. We didn't pass like Silver Spring, Then he like jump on 270.
Like 270.
Yeah, I'm like 270. I'm sitting there like we got on way back there, New Hampshire Avenue or something like that. And so meanwhile, our parents are blowing us up, our mothers in particular, because I guess we like 17.
I was 15.
Okay, so we were 17. Me and O were 17. So of course I had a pager because I worked, paid for my pager, all that good stuff. But my mom is blowing me up 911. And I'm like, what's going on? So stop at a gas station. Mind you, we still got a little bit of ways to go. So I stop at a gas station. I get on the payphone. Yeah, it's back when we still had payphone. And I'm getting reamed. Just talk. Where y'all at? Why y'all not back home? Johnny out there with you? You got Omar with you? Like, what y'all doing?
Yeah, Johnny to call me.
Right. Yeah, so his mom blasting on the other phone, man. So he had to call his mother. So she reaming him out. O had to call his mother. She reaming him out. And I'm just sitting here looking at our friend. We ain't gonna say his name, but looking at our friend like, man, you just got us all in trouble. Now, mind you, we are responsible teenagers at this time. Never gotten in any trouble. Never been in jail, nothing like that. Drugs, nothing like that. Honor roll students, did nothing. But our mothers wigging out on us because we not home when we supposed to, right? So then we'll be home. We just taking a friend home real quick. We just ate pizza, had our game, whatever. We'll be home. Get back on the Beltway.
It was dark by this time too.
Yeah, it was dark. So we just driving. And I'm like, dude, where do you live? You getting us in trouble. And that's when he finally was like, I live in Gaithersburg. That's exactly it. I didn't have any words. And I wanted to hit him, but I'm like, you know what? I should have asked. That was one of them things. I should have asked where you live.
Yeah.
So we end up getting him home. His mom was very thankful. His older brother was actually in my class and one of my really good friends.
Side story.
Mm-hmm.
Side story.
Mm-hmm.
We kept thinking he was saying Bennigan's where his brother worked. There was a spot called Spinnaker.
Spinnaker's, right. I'd never heard of this place before. We thought we were going to drop him or see him at Bennigan's. Because when we got there, it's a long story, but we're going to cut it short because it's past our time. When we got there, his mom was so gracious that we brought him home. I had her call my mom to kind of smooth things over there. We brought him home and stuff like that. So they were cool. So we decided, well, where's your brother? He's like, he at work. So we like, okay, since we already out here, let's go check him out at the restaurant he was working at. We like, yeah, we about to hit up Bennigan's. Because, back then, Bennigan's was the joint. We was going to get us some wings and kind of chill out a little bit. We get to the mall where the joint was, and I'm like, well, where's the restaurant, man? And he like, it's right there. We read the name. All we can do is bust out laughing like Spinnaker's. Like, so we went in the restaurant, and here come our buddy coming out the back with the apron on. He got sauce all that, and we just bust out laughing. When I tell you, we had a good time growing up. We went through some tough stuff, but we had some serious great moments where we could just think about it and just laugh. But that's pretty much the whole story. So when we get together and we talking about heavy stuff, serious stuff, we always try to end it with something that's funny, so we can get to laughing and carrying on. And really, that's therapy for the soul, y'all. You gotta laugh. You gotta do things. My wife tell me sometimes, "You always frowning. Why you ain't smiling?" And then something crazy will happen. We'll be both sitting down on the couch cracking up, and I feel better about whatever situation made me upset in the first place. That's what we wanted to get at y'all with tonight, man. Just talk about a couple of heavy subjects that are affecting our community. That's what our show is really going to deal with. But we're going to hit some jovial and some light stuff as well. So just stay tuned. We're going to try to keep this consistent time, at 9 on Wednesdays, and see where the flavor takes us, y'all.
Absolutely, absolutely. We thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. Feel definitely subscribe. Keep so you can stay in the loop of when our broadcasts are, and if you got something you want to bring to the table, or something you want to speak on, feel free. We have the Facebook Live going, so you could leave your comments and all of that. And again, thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to bringing you more good content and more stuff to talk about.
That's right. Facebook page is in the works. I mean that's in the works. The YouTube page is in the works, is what I meant to say, as well as probably by the end of the week, we'll have the pod sitting up on all major podcasting outlets for you guys to check out and share. God bless you. This has been Prof and Sense, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later.